Are you kidding? You have to go every day.
And you're like, okay,
Okay.
I'll eat it.
I know.
Showtime.
Right, he's kind of good.
Okay.
With that, I would like to bring this meeting of the town board to order. It's the regular monthly meeting of the town board of the town of Northeast. Today is March 14th, 2024 at 7 o'clock. And I would like to invite you all to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all. Billy, could you please conduct a roll call
Supervisor Cannon,
here?
Councilwoman Morrison,
Here.
Councilman Fideli,
Here.
Councilwoman Winkler,
Here.
Councilman Mayville.
Here. All right, thank you, and we should note that our town attorney Warren Polanski is attending remotely, but he is here. So let's see, the next item is the agenda. The agenda has been was posted and has been distributed, and I have two addendums to the agenda. The first one is has to do with the new town hall. And we have been making considerable progress on that. And we have a report from the HVAC and electrical engineers who've been working on it. And a proposal from them to do the engineering of the HVAC and the electrical on the new town hall. And that I would like to add that to our agenda. And the second item is we also, Tilly has distributed minutes of our special meeting of February 29th to the board, and I'd like to add those as well. I don't have a lot of comments for tonight, but two items of note. The first one is a sad one. And that is that today the town lost Ray McEnroe, who, as many people know, is a longstanding member of this town, a foundational member of this town, a farmer. Also, I should note, somebody who has served the town. We know at least on both the bar, the Board of Assessment Review, and on the planning board, and there's some indication that he may have actually also served on the town board. But this is a big loss for this community. And I would like to ask for a moment of silence for Ray McEnroe. The second item that I would like to mention is a happier one, which is the board will, at least those of you who've been on the board for a while will remember that we have been trying to get a speed reduction on Winchell Mountain Road for 5 years. And it is a cumbersome process to get a speed reduction on a town road or a county road. It has to be first approved by the county, who then in turn send it to the state, who then in turn to state DOT, who then in turn send it back to the county. Anyway, we were notified about a year ago that the state had approved the speed reduction on Winchell Mountain. And I've been after the county to get the signs up since it'd been approved by everybody. And I'm really happy to tell you all that the signs went up today on Winchell Mountain. It has gone from
30 miles.
55 down to 45.
45.
Which is a step in the right direction. So we're grateful to county and should really also say to Meg Winkler and to Daniel Goldhagen, who came to appear before the board 5 years ago, asking for this and who've been persistent in reminding us that this was an important thing, particularly in the wintertime. But cars were going down that hill very fast. And in the wintertime, when there was, when the road was slippery, it was really dangerous. It's also really dangerous even in the summertime when cars are coming down that road really fast. And we have houses that have driveways onto it, which have limited sight distance. And so it's a real challenge. Anyway, that is very good news. With that, I would like to ask, is there anything else missing here?
A motion to accept the.
Oh, yes, let's go back to the agenda. With those two amendments, I would like to ask for a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved with those changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Dilly. So with that, I would like to ask if there is any public comment on agenda items only. Yes,
The traffic calming that you just described is actually an action for Climate Smart, and as you go towards silver, you can get credit.
okay, great. Let's make it out. Thank you. We will be coming back to our Climate Smart Task Force later in the meeting. Unless there's any other public comment on agenda items, I'd like to move on to department and board committee reports. And the first is the Town Highway Department. Bob, you got anything to let us know?
All of the equipment that was being repaired is now back in service.
Okay, I know that our newest truck had a little problem.
Yeah, that's now back in service as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
that was a bad sign.
yeah, unfortunately it happens.
Yeah, okay,
And we're cutting brush and working on drainage and patching and performing equipment maintenance.
okay.
And
Great.
Everything's going well.
I had an email, which I haven't seen the whole email of, but from a resident regarding a large tree down on Lower Mill Road.
Oh, okay.
And that may have lost some branches in the recent storm and may be in danger of losing more, but I'll reach out to you tomorrow
Definitely.
about that.
Take a look at it.
Any other questions for sand and salt supplies holding up?
We're doing very well.
We should be. All right, I think that's about it. The next item is the assessor, town assessor, Catherine. There you are.
Yeah, right back here. So I didn't write anything up, I just have a couple small things. So as you know, last month when I was here, we were just getting the middle of exemption season. And one of our biggest things was those senior postcards that had just gone out, and it was kind of crazy, so just wanted to report on how that turned out. It was first instituted last year where the state said that we had to send a second notice to all residents informing them. So last year was a lot of flurry, a lot of calls, a lot of questions, but not a lot of exemptions came out of it. It's like less than a handful. I was kind of surprised because I knew we had plenty of seniors around. But this year we made up for it. We have 20 new senior approved. We had a lot of applications, but 20 new that we added. And seems like a small number, but we only had 50 to begin with. So it's 40% increase from last year. So I'm glad to finally picked up all the ones that were hanging out there that qualified but didn't receive it. So it was a good thing we did. So hopefully next year will be quieter because we'll have picked up all the slackers and just picking up new ones next year, but we'll see how it goes. And I also wanted to mention, give a shout out to the county because they actually paid for those postcards. Last year when it first got instituted, it was about 30 days before the deadline of sending them out. And so the county kind of jumped, did it, and paid for it, and that was great. But this year I assumed that they would do it, but charge us, but they didn't. They actually paid for it in their budget. So fingers crossed that that'll be something they continue, because so far it's going to be an annual process requirement. So just want to give them a shout out for that.
If they do it 2 years in a row, it becomes a tradition.
I like it. We should remind them. And the other thing, we had 3 SCAR cases, just small claims assessment review. And these are appeals to the Board of Assessment Review that don't go through the Supreme Court and the big, lawyer process and all that. It's a process where residential properties can go and defend themselves in front of a hearing officer rather than going to the Supreme Court, that whole big. So we had 3 small cases, and just wanted to report, we finally got decisions on them, and I was able to successfully defend the assessments on all 3 of them. That's done.
That's great.
Good. And then last is just reassessment and reevaluation updates. I did mention last month, and they were preliminary numbers when I threw out to you, or definitely doing increases again this year. Much smaller than we have seen in the last, we're kind of coming up over the hump. But the numbers I quote for you did pan out in my final analysis. So I'm looking for increases at town residential at 3%, village residentials at 6%, and commercial properties at 5%. I believe those were my preliminary numbers, so
Mhm.
that's how it panned out. And we'll be preparing the assessments and sending out our letter and our assessment changes mid-April, by the time we get everything printed and sorted and all that good stuff. People have plenty of time to talk with me and discuss it before grievance day, and then we have the whole grievance process.
Right,
We're on the road to the end of the rule
right.
again.
Speaking of assessments, we've talked at various points about a reval for the town. My memory is that it's been a while since the last reval, and I was wondering what your thoughts are on timing of that, because obviously at some point, when all property values go up together or down together, but mostly up together, any difference between properties stays the same.
Right, it gets lost, right?
It gets lost.
Some might go up more than others, and so, yeah, after a number of years of everything going up consistently equally, which is what our analysis shows, mass valuation wise, there are some, that little ranch there might not have increased as much, and that other house up there may have increased more. And so the disparity starts to grow. Even though we're at 100% and our numbers seem fine, there's always the little pluses and minuses that add together to 0. But we want to capture that. So eventually we definitely have to do it. It's something I've been saying since we did our last one, was a long time ago. It was 2011. Fortunately, since then we had a fairly stable market up until the COVID spike. So things were doing very well. But even at that point, it was getting to be 10 years, and I was about to start having conversations, because over years things happen. But with this last 3 or 4 years of constant increases, I know there's disparities starting to grow. I'm sure there is. And the only way to really catch them is to do an individual parcel by parcel reassessment, which is what a full town-wide evaluation would do. It would not just how things are trending and move every assessment, but it would be parcel by parcel. Okay, let's compare what this house will really sell for on an individual basis. That would be a much more in-depth process, but it's definitely coming down the line in the next couple of years.
Right, and it is important to do. It's a big deal, because as opposed to the general sort of town-wide increase, this creates opportunities for people who feel that their individual revaluation is incorrect to contest them.
Absolutely.
So remember, there was a fair bit of drama the last time.
Oh, sure, there always is gonna be, and
Yeah.
it's a scary number, it's a scary proposition. Especially if you're the one that goes up while someone else goes down. But
Right.
the goal is to get the correct number on every property.
Question. the valuation on my property was done in 2011.
The last
That's
individual.
100% evaluation.
Right, that the individual, like an actual appraisal was done on your property last
It was
in
2011.
And since then, my analysis of the market has shifted your value along with everything else.
Yeah, yeah,
Right, also, all values would be going up or down the same. So yours wouldn't,
relative.
yours compared with mine, Lana's, anybody else's would be going the same. So there would be no reflection, for instance, if you had really fixed up your house and made it, significantly different,
Right,
there wouldn't, we wouldn't know that. It wouldn't be reflected in your assessment. So this is when those things get picked up.
So are the evaluations also changed based on sell prices, current selling prices of homes and commercial properties?
That's what I base when I do these trending things every year, that's my analysis is based on, the
Okay.
sales.
All right,
That's the only thing that tells us what the market is doing.
all right.
So what properties sell for, but, we're looking at, townwide basis, we're not saying, well, 5 colonial sold, so every colonial in town goes, we're looking at more mass valuation purposes. We kind of lump them all together and see what the trending is. But in a full revaluation, we would be really honing in, saying, okay, this colonial matches this guy's house most closely, and it's sold for this, so this guy's house must be worth this. And it's a, much more in-depth process and more accurate, one would hope, is the goal.
Right. And I know that we've been setting aside money in our budget
Yes.
for this
Indeed,
eventuality.
it's an expensive proposition. We
Yeah.
can't hire a contractor to assess because, just in 1 year's
It's
time.
not, it's not our assessor going out door to door.
Yeah, so we need, and so when we did it in 2011, we said, okay, next time we're gonna start saving money little by little every year. So it's not a big hit in 1 year.
I have a question. When people come in and get permits to do improvements on their homes,
Yep.
does that reflect their assessment the next time their tax bill goes out? Does that carry over?
Yes.
Information from the building department
Yes,
comes over
building
to you?
department comes over to me
Okay.
and then we go and inspect and say how much that difference, whatever they built, has increased the value of the property.
So doing work, putting an addition, let's say, on a building, that would get reflected in the
That's part of,
current, in
part
the
of
current
what I'm
year.
supposed to do every year.
Right,
Get data and change assessments, and so that they reflect what's actually there.
right. So it's the buildings that have not had a building permit or anything that
Certainly
all
we have enough of
then
those, yes.
would rise or together. Yeah,
Our goal is, even without building permits, I try to find any data changes, through any other, means available, but
right,
that is the
right.
best one.
yeah,
We do our best to
Thank
keep
you.
the data accurate.
great. Thank you very much.
Sure. See you next week.
Okay, now we ask our tax collector
Yes, yes. So
for a report.
I gave you all a piece of paper here
Yeah.
that has a summary, and I can run these each day. And it shows that we're 85% collected, which is really good. I think. So anyway, the town at this point has been paid in full as of March 1st. They were paid $3,434,248.98. And that covers the general fund, the general outside, the highway, town, highway outside, the fire district, the water district, the water sewer re-levies. So you can see remaining uncollected is up at the top, and that's all going to the county each week. When I get it, it goes to the county, but the town has their money now. So,
So that's just, it's an important thing to know about. One of the duties of the tax collector is that as taxes are received, the different entities that are receiving those monies get paid.
mhm.
In other words, we don't give a little bit to the fire department, a little bit to the town, a little bit to, water district. They get all of their money at one point. The first one, I think, was the fire district.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it sounds like
Yes.
that's been moving along well.
Yes, thanks. And the planning, zoning, building, all those reports have been sent to us.
Okay, Great, thank you.
Mhm.
These are the committees of the town board. The highway committee has been working on the new town garage, highway garage. And the garage is essentially complete. It is really complete. The construction is complete. We are working our way through the punch list items. There is a process that takes place at the end of a big construction project like this of working our way through the punch list and making sure that all of the contractors, subcontractors, and so on have been properly paid, and if there are any claims outstanding, that those are addressed. And Warren has been working very hard on those. And Warren, do you want to make any comment on those? I think we're pretty close to the end of this process. I think you're muted. Let's see.
Yeah, can you hear me? Oh, yes, we've been, it's my understanding, I was in communication with CPL today to find out what the status was on the punch list. They're making progress. It's not yet complete. We anticipate that'll be completed. Those punch list items will be completed soon. We expect that there'll be one more bill from the general contractor. And then we have retainage that we're holding, and we'll be dealing with that to close out the funds on the project. And things at this point are moving along pretty smoothly with regard to the highway garage. So we're hoping that everything will be completed very shortly.
My hope is that for our April meeting, that we will be able to tell the board that we have actual completion of the building. But if we don't, it will be very soon after that. While the building is complete, the highway department is not occupying it yet. We have site work still to do, and we have received proposals from Colarusso to do the site work around the building, including the paving around the building. We really need that work to be completed for the building and the site to be 100% usable. So I'll be coming back to the board on that. But that's really all we have left, and then putting up the flagpole, which we own. And I know that George Lind is ready to supervise that process. We're gonna come back to talk about the new town hall in a minute. But we have housing committee. Meg, do you have some comments?
Yeah, just a few things, just a follow-up from, folks will see this posted around town. NECC actually listed the date. They're gonna have another housing law, tenants know your rights. It's good for tenants, renters, and also landlords to understand. This is their second time they're presenting this. This will be in the village. And this group that is doing the presentations actually has done a lot of pro bono work for people in our community that needed help after the last presentation. So Jessica, who organizes this, is really very excited. So we've been posting this. It's on our website. Tilly put it on Facebook. I put it on Nextdoor, and the library hasn't posted it. So really important because a lot of people don't have leases in our town and things. And then Chris and I were at the Association of Towns meeting in February, went to a lot of housing sessions and learned way too much info, but there are a lot of opportunities down the road for several things, and to communicate more to developers and people looking at our town. So to put more info on our website to really also emphasize our comprehensive plan whenever we can. Also when, if possible, later, even when things are coming in front of the planning board before the first meeting, to have good dialogue with people considering building things here. And then also opportunities for some grants and funding from the state and from county. It just takes work, and Chris has spearheaded starting to talk to some grant writers that maybe some opportunities come down the road for us. And, you know, we're working on the ZRC with updating zoning for housing for just the boulevard, but down the road, went to a very good session on subdivision review, and there's some good opportunities when we get to that round to do things for cluster housing and conservation developments and things like that. So more things to come.
Great, thank you. Chris, I think you've got a report for us on recreation.
Yeah, so Lana and I have met with representatives from the Village Recreation Committee to hear a presentation from a gentleman looking to put together a fun run. They've done this for a number of years as an informal kind of thing, but they were looking to make it more formal in an annual event. They want to start at the Millerton head of the rail trail and end at Wassay. It's gonna be free, so there's no charge to participants. The only thing they're looking for is the okay from the town. Right now, the village has okayed their participation. They allotted the village police officers to be available to help during the crossing, so they're looking to cross through Main Street as well as Coleman Station, and then the other road
And
right
then,
off of
right.
Fish Street.
They're gonna start a meeting too.
They're gonna end in a median. They're gonna start.
And then
And then
Sharon
also-
Road,
Yeah.
there's a crossing down
Yeah.
Sharon Road as well.
So the village police department will be on hand for that, just to make sure everybody can cross safely. I sent a copy, they provided a waiver that they'd like to use, so I
Right.
sent that.
That, did send that, Warren, I did send that, this was some weeks ago, I sent you. This proposal from this group that want to have a run that goes through part of the town. And they had a proposed waiver. And you looked at it and you said it was basically fine. It needs to, hold the town harmless for various things. If you want to take another look at it, happy to send it to you, but this is the great thing about this particular run, which I think is called the Rattlesnake Run, is that it starts here. So people should be still in pretty good shape when they're leaving Millerton. When they get down to Wassaic, it might be a different story, but that will be their problem. So I think this is actually a nice thing for us to have. I've been waiting actually for somebody to organize some kind of run on the rail trail. There are lots of them that are on the other rail trail, the Steinhouse or Hudson Rail Trail. And it doesn't surprise me that somebody would organize something here. And this is not a race, it's a fun run. So it's anybody walking,
All
running.
abilities, he says, yeah, and
Yeah.
eventually, if it continues to grow. We talked about the possibility of switching each year, so perhaps, next year they would start in Wassaic and then at the park, so.
Right,
But they're really just looking for some kind of go ahead from us because they're looking to do this May 2nd. So it does take a little bit of planning.
right. Well, I think that with Warren's giving the waiver, maybe just a quick second look, which could happen very quickly. But subject to Warren approving the waiver for the town, I would entertain a motion for the town to approve this proposal from the organizers of this fun run for a run starting in Millerton and going south through the town with participants having signed a waiver in advance.
And they need to register ahead of time and they're capping it to 100.
Yeah.
He said, maybe we'll get close to that, maybe
Right.
not, but it's a starting point.
Right,
And people can start at various spots. If you
right,
want to start in Amenia
right,
to get to Wassaic,
yeah,
and you can walk it.
yeah. So with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the town's agreeing to have this take place.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so Chris, are you gonna report back to them that,
I will, and I'll CC the board and yourself.
but I wanna make sure, I will make sure that Warren has looked at the waiver again and is happy with it, but I know that you looked at it once and it looked fine, but let's have a second look at it just to make sure it's really fine.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
The other thing we talked about is their work, the village is working on their draft recreation budget, and they said they will share that with us. Relatively soon.
Okay,
Because they're considering having a recreation director. So that'll increase it significantly, but
okay, well,
Maybe
you know,
we need one.
with Eddie Collins Field now really
right,
in use, I drove by it just a little while ago and there were a lot of cars parked in the park,
that's
which was
good.
great to see.
That's good.
I think, you know, we have this park, the village, and,
And we need somebody to organize it.
yeah.
Get things
And-
done.
you know, it's one of the things that I'm aware of by my being part of the Supervisors and Mayors Association of the county is so many other towns have a rec program with a rec director and maybe rec employees.
Right,
So this is a pretty standard thing for a town to have.
Is there funding for that?
With there is,
Recreation.
we're gonna wait and see the budget.
yeah, well, Ralph, there's money in our budget every year.
Ah,
Which goes for recreation, it goes to the village. So there is money there.
good.
The question will be whether it's enough, but
Right,
That was the question I had.
yes, no, there are funds and there's a budget line.
and our contract will be coming up at the end of May, so hopefully by then we'll have an idea of what they're looking for.
Yeah,
That
So-
helps us plan.
we'll definitely be coming back to the board with, you know, with that information.
Can I ask, how much into the weeds do they get you involved, you guys, like on programming or?
Well, there hasn't been
There
any,
hasn't been, oh, okay.
because we had COVID.
Yeah.
COVID my first year on the board, so it was not much going on.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So we're now they've
Yeah.
got the park, so we're starting to get things going.
The next big question is the swimming pool, everyone's asking.
They're trying to get
We'll
money.
see.
If you have an extra few $1 million.
I
we
would
could-
be sitting here if I did.
I am going to, Menia, their recreation director is having a meeting on Tuesday at 11 o'clock. So I'm gonna go there and just see what she's working on, what she's doing. And she's invited the senior group that participates in their bus trips and everything. So I'm gonna go see what they've got going on.
I think that's the importance of having a rec director too,
Mhm.
it's recreation for all ages.
Right,
So. um,
so we'll see.
It was a good meeting and we're gonna have more, so.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, with that, I'd like to move on to talk about the new town hall. And just to bring everybody up to speed. As you know, we purchased the former Jehovah's Witnesses building last year. We have been lucky to have had Jeannie Van Echo, who has come up with a redesign of the interior of the building, which includes a court complex. And this is with considerable input from the Office of Court Administration, which is very insistent on certain attributes of the court complex. There's security requirements, there's various requirements that they need. The design of the building encompasses their concerns. And the bulk of we will be changing the interior, the bulk of the work and the bulk of the expense probably involves HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and electrical. And there's a lot of equipment there. It's 30 years old. So as the board knows, the board authorized the town to retain LAN Associates, LAN Associates, to do an analysis of what we have with the air conditioning ventilation system. They went through every single piece of equipment that is there in the building and gave us a report on that. And the next, as we are moving forward now towards the real next goal, in my mind, would be to be able to issue an RFP for the actual reconstruction of the interior of the building. When that happens, that's a big day, because that's when we are actually hiring, receiving proposals for the work to be done on the inside of the building. While Jeannie Veneco has prepared the overall design, we have been working with Larry Wente, who's a resident of the town and who is a member of a firm called Mancini Duffy in New York City, to prepare the actual drawings, the actual accredited, certified drawings for this, and to prepare the RFP for the construction work to take place. Because so much of what goes into that involves HVAC and electrical, we needed to hire an engineering firm to do that portion of the design. So the HVAC and electrical portion of the RFP will need to be done by a separate firm. And for that, we have received a proposal from LAN Engineering. They, as I was just saying, they did the analysis of the building. They know the building well. They were very quick. We have been very impressed by their professionalism. That this is not a company that the town has worked with before. But they did a very good job, a very thorough job, and have prepared a proposal for us to consider to do the engineering of the HVAC and the electrical portion of the building. They would also be available to the town during the construction phase to monitor the HVAC and electrical portion of that work. Warren, I think I've tried to describe this process and to put into context what it is that we have before us today, which is a proposal from LAN to perform this engineering work on in preparation for construction. And you've had a chance to look at it, and I believe you've prepared a rider for that to make it conform to what the town would want to have in any contract, and a resolution for the board to approve moving forward. Do you want to give us some comments at this point?
You want me to comment?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
I'm sure I've
Yes.
left something out.
No, you've covered it all. So what I did was I took a look at the contract that they have proposed. And I also looked at the feasibility study and reviewed that. And just for clarification, there are 4 options for proceeding, and the feasibility study in the town has determined, subject to the board's approval, that we're going to go with option 1, which is the most cost-effective way of proceeding on this. I've made certain changes to the contract, which I've included in a rider to the contract. And with the rider and the base contract and the standard terms and conditions and the feasibility study annexed to that, I think we have a complete contract that we can authorize the town supervisor to sign in the same or substantially the same form as we have before us. The proposal is for the work on the construction documents, which would be then submitted to our architect to be included in the RFP, price of $24,660. And then there are some add-ons, their work for the bid and award. It was $1,850, and the construction administration of the HVAC and the related electricity would be $5,880. So what we're really proceeding now is the first phase of that contract for the construction documents. And it looks fine to me with the rider. And I prepared a resolution for the town board to adopt, which would then permit our supervisor to sign it. I'm not anticipating that LAN will have any problems with the rider, but if they do, we can always tweak it. But we prefer not to have to come back to the board unless it's something substantial.
I should mention that as part of the work that we've been doing with the Climate Smart group, that we looked at the opportunity to make the building completely electric and to have, not have it not powered by fossil fuels. It proved to be not something that we can afford at this point. It would have been a very expensive proposition. So we are going with the least expensive option of the 4 that was presented by the engineers. I think it's still just because it's the least expensive, I don't think that means that it's the least good. I think it is a very solid proposal that they have for us. And what I'm particularly pleased about is that we are moving forward on this building slowly and thoughtfully. We're not rushing into anything. As you know, we bought the building almost a year ago, and it's taken a long time to think through what it is that, how we want it designed, how we want it to work. There will be a lot more to do. I'll be coming back to the board, I'm sure, on a monthly basis from here on now, as we start to get closer to actually working on it. It is still my hope and intent that we complete this during this calendar year. And I would like to be in there this year, and furthermore, not moving during Christmas week either. So, which means that we need to be, really at least a month or so ahead of the end of the year. So it is, I'm trying to make sure that I come back to the board with something every month. And if the board is inclined to approve this resolution, that would be great, because we'll be able to get back to land tomorrow and get them working on that at this point. Any questions from the board? Yeah,
Chris, but having the option of being all electric versus electric and propane, That gives us the flexibility if in the future there was ever a power blackout, electric blackout, we would still be able to operate the town
Yes.
hall,
Yes.
which is a
Which
good
is,
idea.
yes, so, there is a propane tank that is there. I'm hoping that we'll be able to use that tank, we may have to add a second tank to it. But there will be a generator. There will probably be a bigger, there is no generator at the moment, there will be a generator for the town hall, so that we can operate the town hall. When and if there is a blackout, as there almost certainly will be at some point. Any other thoughts, questions?
Not yet.
Not yet. No, all right, well, with that, Tilly, could you then read the resolution?
Okay.
And if your voice doesn't hold up, I'll pitch in.
Resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute contract for professional engineering services with Land Associates with regard to the remodeling of the property located at 5603 Route 22, town of Northeast, currently owned by the town for use as a new town hall. Whereas the Northeast Town Board determined that the existing town hall is obsolete in many respects, including the lack of handicap access to the second floor, and that it was necessary for the town to either construct a new town hall or acquire property with an existing structure which may be retrofitted for use as a town hall. And whereas the town board pursuant to a resolution dated April 13th, 2023, authorized the purchase of the property located at 5603 Route 22 in the town of Northeast, owned by the Rhinebeck Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, consisting of approximately 3.01 acres, an existing and an existing congregational building identified as tax map number 717000633229 for use as the new town hall. And whereas the town closed title on said property on July 17th, 2023, and is now the owner of the same. And whereas Jeannie Van Ecko, a licensed architect and resident of the town of Northeast, has donated certain architectural and design services to the town and prepared a set of preliminary plans with a detailed scope of work for the remodeling and reconstruction of the subject property for use as a town hall. And whereas the scope of work includes anticipated general demolition and reconstruction work, and a summary by discipline of the remodeling required for use as a town hall. Whereas the town, with the assistance of Jeannie Van Ecko, has estimated that the total cost of such work will not exceed $390,310. And whereas the town board has determined that the cost of reconstruction work can be paid for by the 2024 budgeted funds in the amount of $25,000 and $365,310 in surplus funds. In addition, the town has been awarded a New York State Local Community Assistance Program grant in the amount of $200,000, which will be used to reimburse the town after expenditure. And whereas the current town hall, after completion of construction of the new town hall, will be sold by the town, and the net proceeds will be used to reimburse the town's surplus funds. And whereas the town board authorized the town supervisor to execute an agreement with Land Associates Engineering Planning Architecture Surveying LLP for the preparation of a feasibility study for HVAC upgrades and electrical evaluation assessment for the new town hall. And whereas Land has provided that evaluation and assessment in a report dated February 27th, 2024. And whereas the proposal sets forth 4 options for proceeding with the HVAC upgrades and associated electrical upgrades. And the report has been reviewed by the town board and its architect, and the town board has determined to proceed with option 1, as set forth in said report, as the most economical and cost-effective option. And whereas Land Associates has provided a proposal set forth in a letter dated January 26, 2024, and last revised on March 11, 2024, for the performance of additional engineering services, which will include the preparation of documents required for the said HVAC and associated electrical work as set forth in option 1 of the feasibility study, which will be incorporated in a comprehensive RFP, which will be prepared by the town's consulting architect for this project, Larry Wendt of Mancini Duffy, New York City. And whereas the contract has been reviewed by the attorney to the town, who has prepared a rider to the said contract. And whereas the said contract with rider has been submitted to the town board for its review, and the town board has determined that the contract and rider are acceptable in form and content, and that the town supervisor should proceed to execute the same. And whereas the town board has determined that this type 2 action under seeker, which does not require an environment review. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor to sign the contract submitted by Land Associates dated January 25th, 2024, and last revised on March 11th, 2024, together with the terms and conditions annexed thereto, and the rider prepared by the attorney to the town in the same or substantially the same form as submitted to the town.
Great, thank you. With that, unless there are any other questions from the board, I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, Billy, could you conduct a roll call, please?
Supervisor Kennen,
Aye.
Councilman Fideli,
Aye.
Councilman Mayville,
Aye.
Councilwoman Morrison,
Aye.
Councilwoman Winkler.
Great,
Alright,
thank you very much. We are moving forward on the new town hall, so this is an important step. And, we'll be talking about it at each of our meetings as we go through the year. But this is a good development for us and for the town. Now we come to the Northeast Millerton Community-wide Greenhouse Gas Emissions Inventory. And I'm very happy that Kathy Chow and Climate Smart Task Force are here tonight to explain to us a little bit about the greenhouse gas inventory. You will remember that the town conducted a municipal greenhouse gas inventory, which was
For government operations.
government operations, which was when we measured all of Bob's trucks. And we measured all the electricity that was being used by the building. And then discovered that most of our greenhouse gas emissions were coming from the landfill. So that's for government operations. We, of course, are a small part of a much bigger community.
So this community greenhouse gas inventory includes the whole town and everything in it, including the village. It includes the municipal buildings and all the stuff that was in the municipal inventory. So this is an inventory. It's one of the Climate Smart actions. It's worth 16 whopping points. Hudson Valley Regional Council has put together a cohort, and Kathleen did the lion's share of the work here from our Climate Smart Task Force. The rest of the task force basically is over there. And as a cohort with many other towns, we went through their spreadsheet, and Kathleen can explain briefly how that worked. And it comes up with an inventory. The inventory is something that we're presenting to you tonight. You don't have to do anything with it. It doesn't obligate you to do anything anyway. It's information that you are receiving from this inventory. After the inventory is approved, that kicks off the second part of this cohort, and we will be looking at what we can do about the big emissions. And that we're in that process now, and that will be done in the next few months.
Who approves the inventory?
Who approves it?
Yeah.
You do. Right now.
Oh.
So it's a massive spreadsheet. Well, Kathleen can explain how the numbers are come up, but it's very different than the municipal one. The municipal one, we were reading.
We were looking at individual trucks and individual
Electrical
buildings and
bills and all that
individual
kind of stuff.
electric bills.
This is all done estimating based on population.
Right, so this does not involve going door to door. This is, as you just said, an estimate based on the total population. Okay.
Yeah, and the Hudson
council, the regional council had updated this massive set of data and input everything for all the towns and villages. So our role was really to go back to their sources and basically proofread and make sure that everything was correct, because they did it for such a huge number of places and so many data points, they didn't want to just rely on that. So what happens is that that set of data then rolls up into these two simple forms, the data, the numbers and the pie chart that shows the percentages of each group. We can work with that as a basis for coming up with any. It's a benchmark for moving forward, so that we can take a look at different options if there are things that the town or the village want to do to try to improve greenhouse gas emissions.
So as you can see, half of the emissions from this community are transportation. That's really no surprise because it's rural, it's all spread out. There is no public transportation. It's not practical to have public transportation. So what are we going to do about it? We're going to be recommending things. A lot of it has to do with public education. So it's public education, social media and meetings and this kind of stuff. It's encouraging people to use rideshare 511, which is kind of non-existent right here, but it's, you know, it's an app and you can find ways to carpool. We do have certain things that lots of people go to, like a lot of people go to work at Harney. So theoretically, getting people to do carpools that way. This is the kind of actions that we would be recommending.
And providing information maybe to homeowners on how they can make their homes more energy efficient.
So the orange one is residential. That's all about the buildings. That's their houses. So helping them investigate if heat pumps make sense for them, if they need to do insulation, how to
Yeah.
electrify their house.
Right, the built environment combined of commercial and housing is the other huge segment. And, for example, NYSERDA programs could be more, promoted or more information passed out to people about that. Campaigning of information about how to go about that, what the supports are for it. And, you know, what kind of income levels can get more and less amounts of support from the state.
And it would include things like if we ever had a solar field on the landfill, helping people understand how they can get a benefit from that,
Right.
that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then after the orange piece, which is residential, there's solid waste, and that does include our landfill. So that's the numbers in the landfill, and it also includes what people are currently throwing away, which goes away to like Seneca Falls way upstate, or it goes to the Dutchess Resource Recovery, all bad solutions. So reducing waste is really good. And then the next section is commercial. So we have some pretty big businesses in town, like Urban Farm and like McEnroe's composting operation and Hardy, of course. And so perhaps we can make a green team of those businesses and help them understand how they can be greener, you know, with solar or various programs that they can look into.
And is this work that the Climate Smart Task Force is going to be working on?
Yeah, it's part of the climate action plan. Because we're gonna go taking the information from this and putting it into another whole tool that gives us a matrix of things to consider. And potential partners for how to put things together with different groups.
So you remember that the government operations climate action plan recommended several things. One was investigating the landfill. One was, that included the village too, so that there was a lot of stuff in there, like electrify the police vehicles or electrify as much of the highway vehicles as is appropriate, this kind of stuff. And it prioritizes what can be done, what will have the biggest impacts.
So do you know where they get their data points? Is it from actual, like, is it the census or is it actual numbers that we know we have those amount of homes in the town of Northeast and Millerton, like from our assessor? Like just on
Well,
residential,
It's
and-
from, yeah, residential, it would be taken from the census data.
which is long. We only had a like 52% response rate in our town and our village for this region, so. I mean, not to say that this is off, but I'm just saying our census
But
was so off.
the building count is,
The amount of people that actually responded, unfortunately, in our region is like 52-53%, which threw off everything.
Meaning the population is higher.
Correct. And also data points are different, like in income levels and amount of kid, like it affected everything to the schools, to everything, so.
It probably
We just
doesn't,
found that affected some other things, like for housing
Mhm.
and stuff too. Not to say it's gonna throw this off tremendously, but I was just curious because it's used so much, the census,
yeah,
that,
that was one source. Another for the emissions, we use the New York Utility Registry. Which would be specific amounts.
Yeah.
And, the E-grid, a number of these things. That I'm not that familiar with, but like the Department of Transportation.
accurate.
I don't know that this the percentages might not change if you have 10 people or 50 people and they're all eating and going to work and doing all those things.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
percentages are probably okay, and if what we're looking at is what are the big devils?
The sector.
It's
yeah.
pretty
Pretty obvious.
clear what's,
Transportation.
yeah.
I have a question. As we look at the diameter of the circle, okay, that's today. But in the future, looking years ahead, as we have more and more electric vehicles, will the size of that circle get smaller? Is that the way we would interpret the fact that we are reducing our
That's
emissions?
the goal.
Or the
That's
piece
the goal
of
to
the
get-
pie, the piece of pie that is transportation
Yeah,
could get smaller relative to the other ones.
well, no,
And the
what
whole
I'm
pie
saying,
gets
maybe the
Yeah.
whole circle would get smaller, wouldn't it?
No, it's just the
I mean,
Well, is
Well,
this
these
really
numbers-
You're
or-
assuming that if the circle remained the same, you're assuming that we would just be shifting to different portions, right?
But as the whole community becomes greener, these numbers that
Get
generate
smaller.
that, all the numbers will go down.
Right, so that's the whole circle will come down, and I mean, if this represents the
number
total
of tons of
value.
Greenhouse gas emissions will go down, yes.
But
The
Partly,
total, but.
the
not- yeah,
diameter
but-
really is
And the
no
proportions will
correlation.
shift. As one area goes down, another one is proportionately gonna appear larger.
Okay,
Because it's, it has to reshuffle the entire pie. And the total bottom line will reduce, hopefully, and that'll show as like the total emissions. Which we don't have the bottom line total on this particular page.
it's here in this report, you're welcome to read it.
if that circle gets smaller,
Well, I don't think the diameter ever changes, it's
Yeah.
just the shifting of it.
Can we send an electronic copy of the report to the members
Yes,
of the
and you
board?
should know that the first 9 pages are specific to us. The rest of this massive report is the county explaining how they did their methods.
Okay, so we'll send that to the board, whoever on the board is interested in that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right. Interesting.
we would, the board has received this information. Do you need a resolution noting that we received it?
Well,
At
if
this
you
point-
approve it, that's wonderful. You get the 16 points, by the way.
And it here's the important term, has the village approved it?
The village approved it. If the village approved it.
If the village approved it, then it's okay by me.
They have their own little pie too, and their pie is slightly different.
Yeah.
And they're both pies
They're
are,
both in the report.
they're both in the report. But the town includes the village.
So this includes the village,
It does.
okay.
No, I think in the end, the town is subtracted out.
Oh.
They're actually separate.
Oh, they are
items.
separate,
Yeah, they
okay.
are separate. And we had that discussion about.
Oh, sorry, the study includes
Okay.
Yeah.
everything.
Before we go any further, I'm just going to let Warren know that I don't think there's anything else on the agenda from here on out for which we need you. And I don't, you're welcome to stay and watch the rest of the meeting. But there's nothing that for which we specifically need you, and therefore, if you disappear from view on our screen.
I will disappear. Thank you.
Okay,
See you next month,
thank-
guys.
okay,
See you
thank
guys.
you, Warren.
Bye.
Yeah.
Take care, Warren.
With that, I would be happy, I think it would behoove us to receive this and accept this report on this, the work that's been done. And I would entertain a motion to accept the community greenhouse gas, community-wide greenhouse gas emissions inventory.
So
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I did reverse the items on the agenda. Didn't mean any disrespect to bicycling and walking. But this is another product of Climate Smart Task Force. And represents a lot of work over a considerable period of time. Particularly by Tom Parrott, who is here tonight, and I think also with help from Andrew Stamen at one point. And it has been reviewed and reviewed and reviewed. And I think, as the board knows, it went to the village, and trustee David Sherman had some concerns about it. I've spent quite a bit of time with Dave Sherman on this. There were some concerns about the first go round of it, particularly having to do with the use of Route 22 as a recommended desirable place for bicycling. And that has been pretty much taken out of this. And one of the reasons that I think it was important to do that is because the county is looking to the town's bicycling and pedestrian plan for its recommendations as to what it considers as appropriate bicycling routes here. And especially with the Harlem Valley Rail Trail running essentially really parallel to Route 22, and sometimes just a couple of feet away from Route 22. It is a very much safer north-south route. But this talks about other things which would be desirable. And I think it's a good plan. And I know Tom Parrott is here, and I don't know, Tom, whether you would like to say anything at this point about it. We welcome you.
You know, it was, the basic idea is to prepare the community for, to open the community to the possibilities of walking and biking. In the future where we may be doing more of that than we are now. And also the economic advantages of a community that supports that. So, I mean, already I think lots of merchants would agree that you know, it is extra business for people coming up, who don't want to use the rail trail and also bike around this. So that's the basic idea really, is just to try to make the place, you know, without spending a lot of money or doing anything grandiose, more amenable to biking and walking.
Right, and it should, we've talked, mostly about bicycling, but it also deals with pedestrians and walking. And it refers to several places in both the village and the town where improved pedestrian safety and improved sidewalks would encourage walking. And this is something which this plan clearly aspires to do, is to encourage people to get out of their cars and to bicycle or to walk to the extent they're able to, around town and around the village. So this has also now been approved by the village. And as you know, it came to the town before, and I'm happy to now bring it back to the board for its approval. I heartily recommend that we approve this important document tonight, and it will become part of the Climate Smart items, which we are continuing to work on. And I like, as I sit here, look at the back of the room and look at the certificate of the town of Northeast being awarded its bronze level of attainment in climate smart work. One of the early communities in Dutchess County to get there. A number more communities have actually followed. It represents a lot of work, and this really is a good moment for me to say a word of thanks, especially to Kathy Chow, but to the whole task force, which has worked really, really hard. I mean, people have no idea how many hours have been volunteered by the task force on, what you've heard tonight, seen tonight. It's really wonderful, great contribution to making our community even more resilient and climate smart.
Yes.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
the date supposed to be updated though, from the last one we had?
It will,
Nitpicky, but-
we're actually going to, the text has been updated.
Okay,
Before it becomes absolutely, and is the text that you're approving tonight.
okay.
I want to make sure that we get the graphics right and the dates right and so on, but the text is the important part. So, any questions?
Mhm.
No? Yes, Chow.
I just wanted to show you guys this. This is the current county bike map. It shows Route 22 as basically the only bike route in town. This is a really whizzy app that they have, which would be great if it reflected our suggestions. And because you guys can approve it and the village can approve it, then the county can go and update their map. They can't update their map without your official blessing. So that's a really important reason why we want to do this.
Great. Well, with that, I would, unless there are any other questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the town and village bicycling and walking plan.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. One of the things which those of us who attended training sessions offered by the Association of Towns learned is the various financial obligations of the town board and of the town and of the town board. And we talked a little bit about that at our special meeting that we had on leap year day. But one of the items which every town is required to do is to file with the state an annual financial report. That it's an interesting document. It is publicly available. You can go on the New York State Comptroller's website and you can look at the financial report of any community, any town in New York State, probably including any city or village. And it is based on this annual financial report. Ours was put together by our accountants with a great deal of help from Lorna Sherman. And it was, they have a new system that they've been putting in. And they gave us a pretty aggressive deadline for complying with it. We did ask for an extension. I think we ended up taking a 1 week extension or something like that. Wasn't very much. But I'm really just reporting back to the board that our annual financial report was filed with the state, with the Office of the State Comptroller, and we have received a confirmation from the comptroller that they have received it and it's all in order. So I just wanted the board to be aware of that. The next item is that we have received a proposal for insurance, for renewal of our insurance for the town. And one of the big question marks was the insurance for cyber is something that has been, I've talked about it before, and it's something that we hear a lot about, the vulnerability of towns, villages, cities, and many other institutions to cyber crime. And this really tends to happen when somebody, when bad actors are able to get into our system, essentially, and that happens frequently from people mistakenly clicking on something that they think is one thing, and it turns out not to be benign. In any event, cyber insurance has been a big item of discussion. And last year, there was a big increase in the premium cost of cyber insurance. We have been wondering how that was going to work out this year, and to our considerable surprise, the premium for cyber insurance actually has gone down substantially. I can't tell you why that is, but we're happy about it. And the result is that the cost of insurance for the town this past year that we've been in was essentially $45,000, $2 shy of that. And their proposed premium for the year going forward is $43,979. So essentially it's $1,000 reduction. That doesn't happen very often. So my suggestion is we should say yes and accept this proposed insurance quote from NYMER for the town of Northeast for going forward.
So,
Any questions?
sorry.
Yeah, no.
Take that $1,000.
Yeah, take the $1,000, but no, I think they've been very responsive, and we have and particularly Lorna and our IT person, Phil, have spent quite a bit of time filling out very detailed questionnaires about how we protect ourselves from cyber.
Well, yeah, the big saving was in cyber.
Yeah. So we're very happy about that.
Yeah, it's right with BLSOC.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of things have
a
gone up.
a lot of things have gone up,
Yeah.
so, we're very happy that the cyber has not. I think we will continue to do training with town employees. To make sure that we are all aware of the potential. For intrusions into our system from cyber criminals. But in the meantime, Meg has made a motion to accept this insurance for the year going forward. Do I hear a second?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That is good. Next item on the agenda is public comment period. Is there any public comment on anything? Mr. Parrott,
Yes, hello.
hello.
Thank you so much for approving the bike plan.
Well, thank you so much for doing it and for your extraordinary patience.
Sort of along those lines, I'm a little worried, that, the new town hall is not taking, energy efficiency seriously enough. And this, you know, is potentially a chance for, the town to even be a leader among local communities. But it almost sounds a little bit like, what shrinks call cognitive dissonance, when you have our focus on climate smart on one hand, and on the other hand, we're really not, making a big effort to try to save, energy in our new town hall. And the thing is, as we as a society try to figure out, you know, how to cut greenhouse gases, we're gonna have to spend money. It's not gonna come free. It's not gonna be cheap. And maybe, you know, at this point, it might make sense to, spend a little more money and do it right. Which would require going out to the community and sell the idea that, you know, that clean energy is good for us, all of us, which, and it's something we need to pay for. So that's you know, solar heat pumps, maybe it's been looked at, but I worry that it hasn't been looked at sufficiently.
I would just say that I think we have looked at it in this instance. Moving from this building to that building, which is a much newer building, well insulated. All on one floor with brand new equipment, and some ductless units like this. Will further improve the efficiency of the building. We did get an early estimate of the cost of, on top of changing the whole interior of the building, of electrification, and it was close to $1 million. It was deeply expensive, and well, it sounded high to me too, but it was on paper, and it was, you know. I think I feel comfortable that and I take your point. I think we want to try to be as energy efficient as we can, and to build that into what we do. I think you will see a lot of that in the building. It may not be, you know, if we were building a new building, it would be a LEED certified building from the start. But we're working with a building that has existing infrastructure in it. And we're really.
Maybe we can have a more lengthy conversation about this, and I'd be happy to talk to you, but.
Yeah,
You know, I think solar that's a great place for solar.
right, well,
And there are really interesting ways to do that, and that whole sort of economic proposition is moving very quickly. It's getting more and more attractive, more and more affordable, and it would be, I'm not, I'm not recommending that the town do anything risky. I just think it would be a shame if we didn't take advantage of a real opportunity that would end up saving the town money starting 5 years from now. So-
Well, we have a great opportunity on that site for solar. There is, that's 3 acres, of which a very small portion is occupied by the building.
Indeed.
So, that is wide open, and that, doesn't need to be part of this proposal. For instance, in the new town highway garage, it has always been contemplated to put a solar array on top of the new highway garage. It wasn't part of the contract, but it was part of the contract to design the roof to accept a solar array. And so it is, it is sort of the next step. We want to finish the building, but when we do, we are going to be looking both at the new highway garage and at town hall, the new town hall, for that kind of an opportunity.
I would feel more comfortable if that was at the top of conversations, not, raised by the public every now and then, just to nudge you guys.
Yeah,
I mean, let's keep in mind that, this is really important, that we need to cut greenhouse gases everywhere we possibly can. And not just trying to talk people into bicycling more often, which is, so.
Andrew,
For whatever it's worth, remember that the town did sign a resolution that they have to benchmark their buildings. So the new town hall will be benchmarked, and it will be compared to every other municipal building within the state. And it will immediately show you where you're weak and where you're strong. I don't know if that answers. Helps Tom, but it will be benchmarked.
any other public comment? Okay. Let's find out where I am here. So, turning to the financials. We have a budget adjustment number 1 for 2024. A fund, an expense increase of $314,913, less a revenue increase of $314,500. But, let me start that one again. An expense increase of $314,913, less an expense decrease of $343, less a revenue increase of $314,570 for a net of 0. That's for A fund. For DB fund for the highway, an expense increase of $61,835, less a revenue increase of $61,835 for a net of 0. Could I have a motion to approve the budget adjustment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Excuse me.
I have a special abstract dated February 26, 2024. Totaling $13,256.37, broken down as follows. A fund, $3,572.27. B fund, $9,684.10. Could I have a motion to approve the special abstract?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let me pass this around for your signatures. I have an abstract dated March 14th, 2024. totaling $229,844.85, broken down as follows. A fund, $60,632.88. B fund, $104,910.22. DB fund, $62,507.04. Capital projects H1. $1,011.24. T and A two escrow, $525. Payroll T and A, $258.47. Can I have a motion to approve the abstract?
So moved.
All in favor? What, second?
Aye.
Chris Mayville, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. The voucher committee for April will be Lana Morrison and Chris Mayville. Minutes have been distributed by our town clerk of both the meetings of February 8th, 2024 and February 29th, 2024. I know that the board has had an opportunity to look at them and there have been some typos that we picked up and changes. But with those, I would like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the meetings of February 8th and February 29th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. They're not having any meeting with council. And entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.